This situation is really interesting because this author is under fire for using AI and he might be a victim, but people aren't feeling that way. Let's break this down. So here we have a video by Bookbinding Bum talking about how to spot AI art.
Video talking about AI and in the book world, and then this guy's video pops up where he was with his very core defending the fact that his book cover was not AI. Thing is, it definitely is, and we're gonna play a little game of experienced artists teaching you the ways of how it's definitely AI and why. Also, no hate to the guy, he's clearly got scammed, and he said he paid like $2,000, so that's punishment enough for whatever the hell's going on, but let me show you what we're looking at here. Okay, so here's the whole book cover, at least this is the only like full shot we get of it, and right away, just as somebody who has been trying to keep on the AI game, I already can tell you this is AI. The claims he's making, though, are all just the fact that the pictures and images are too big. And when asked about layers, like, because in Photoshop and Procreate, you work in layers, you build up on top of things. When asked to see that, which your artist should fully be able to provide, he said he can't. Now, again, I feel bad about this guy, because I think he truly thinks this is 100% human created, and I'm going to show you how and why it is not. First thing he shows is the sketch as proof as to why it's human created.
Well, we'll break down
you understand, zoom in. So right now the guy is saying that the details are make it believable, but that's what makes AI unbelievable. Let's start with this. These are like the primary feathers here. You see how this second row morphs into the final row? So there's usually 3 rows when we draw it, maybe more. But you see how there's this one big row of feathers and then the second row of feathers and then they just morph together? That's AI's weakness. AI cannot keep shit straight for the life of it, and that's a prime example of why that is AI. I guarantee you a human would not do that unless it is just the rough sketch. So once the rough sketch is out, when we're drawing stuff, we are not merging shit like this for no reason. The second dead giveaway is the little fingeries. These are always the AI giveaway. So if you notice, he's got his first finger, his second finger, his third finger, and then it's a thumb pinky. It's a thinky. It rolls together there. Feel free to zoom in. But if you can't tell what finger is happening there, again, this is a solid rendering. You're past the like lazy sketches. You're drawing individual fingers. You're drawing fingernails at this point. I mean, look, you've got details of the armor and look.
So this is a bit of a breakdown from Bookbinding Bum, how to spot that it's AI. So let's take a look at the cover. This is the piece that is allegedly AI, or allegedly not AI, okay, according to Devin himself, the author. And again, right, don't send hate to any parties. Devin is an author, not an artist, so likely he has no art background and wouldn't really have the capabilities to spot AI art. I'm not saying this in like a condescending way, but like if you don't have an art background, a lot of times it is pretty hard to spot it. I would say one off is already the inconsistency in the wings. Here we have feather, something lines happening here. I don't know what's going on here. But then here it gets kind of wavy of the wings. And where did all the feathers go? All the feathers are gone. The inconsistencies is just a bit odd because like unless there's a canon reason as to why your angel only has wings on one side of their body, shouldn't the wings be on both sides of the body? We'll get a more high-res image in a minute. But you kind of, again, have a bit of like a fantastical detailing going on here, which is, you know, interesting with kind of no really rhyme or reason. That's not the end of the world, but we'll kind of take a closer look. Like here we have like a angel, but we just kind of have like random plates happening kind of on the armor. Maybe there's a reason behind it, right? That is like a canon reason. But even in like the wiring in its neck, none of it is like symmetrical. And I would maybe assume like the wiring in the neck would be symmetrical. Like here we have this piece here that's like a crescent shape that isn't present on this side, right? Because anatomically speaking, your neck muscles, your neck tendons are pretty symmetrical, relatively speaking. If you're a mechanical angel, it probably would also have to have a similar level of symmetry for you to move properly. Those are just, you know, from the first glance, a little bit, like a bit of a food for thought. Devin is super diehard that it's not AI. In this video, posted on June 24th, it's a reply to somebody's comment who says, if you're willing to use AI for the cover, how am I going to trust that that's the only place you've used it? Implying that AI could have been used in the writing process. So here Devin says, I bring the receipts, and then he's holding his head. And here we have a receipt that is received from Fiverr. So the Fiverr artist apparently sent this to him on April 4th, 2025, where it says, I, Chris Era, also known as This Is Really Chris, hereby transfer all rights of the design and artworks for the book cover Fallen Angel to Devin Thorpe. Some more information. I've credited the artworks and designs of the book cover entirely on my own, and I have not used any copyrighted or trademark material in the creation of the creative. And then there's all these watermarks like in collaboration with Amazon Kindle, Adobe Certified Professional, Content Authenticity Initiative, blah, 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 blah. All of that on here, okay? So here we have the certificate that apparently proves it's legit. Keep this in mind. On the same day, he replies to another comment that says, "Is this AI slop?" He captions his video when the book he wrote is accused of being AI, and he's flipping through a bunch of journals and manuscripts with handwritten notes about what looks to be like the contents of his book. So yeah, I mean, it looks like he wrote a lot of notes. Could have taken the notes and stuck it in ChatGPT. I don't know, right? But he's very defensive about the fact the content of the book is legitimately his. And again, I've never read his book, so I can't say to that, right? But I just think it's funny because he missed the point of this. The comment was under this video that I also have to mute. But the video is titled "An Excerpt from My Novel Fallen Angel." And it says, "There's only 7 of us, the best of the best." And it kind of has like some narratives of pages of the book, I suppose. And there's some animated images in here. And the animated images are all Gen AI. You know, we got some tactical shooters here. Basically, they all look like they're out of some tactical shooter, Call of Duty type setting. This is all Gen AI, by the way. So the commenter was commenting under this video, and they commented, "Is this AI slop?" They were referring to the photos that were used, but I just think it's funny because the author, Devin, completely missed the mark and thought that they were attacking the book contents. And then Devin made a couple of response videos about clearing up the fact as to whether it's AI or not. So this was on July 2nd.
I'm losing a lot of followers for making this video, but honestly, I don't care because something needs to be said. The anti-AI movement and community on all social media, but especially TikTok, is one of the most toxic communities I have ever interacted with, and I will back that claim up with some screenshots.
I think this is an interesting take. I do think the anti-AI community can be a little bit vigilante, in which like there's artists who do legitimate work, and then under every art that like looks tiny bit suspicious, they're like, "You use AI, la 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 la," right? Like earlier we talked about an artist who is a legitimate artist, and everyone keeps accusing them of using AI, even though they've literally drawn in the same style since like 2012. I guess those people didn't do their due diligence to scroll their Instagram feed a little bit and realize they've been posting like that for a while. So yes, that can happen. But for the most part, it's largely, I feel like, just people trying to encourage those who are using Gen AI, like, "Hey, just to let you know, isn't really great. Just letting you know. There is no movement. It's the only correct position. Everything else is cheating, broski. The human artist you used uses AI. ... So now what?"
Come under a lot of fire regarding the book cover that I have for my science fiction novel Fallen Angel. Now, apparently everyone these days is a self-proclaimed expert in being able to detect AI art. I guess I must have skipped those courses in my undergraduate degree because I am not able to detect AI art like that, but...
So the video should have ended here. I don't have the qualifications to continue talking about what I'm going to talk about. Proceeds for another 4 minutes. Sorry. It's just his condescending tone that just makes this very humorous.
But apparently whenever people see fantastic artwork on a book cover, it just automatically means that's AI. Now, luckily everyone is an expert, so I don't have to dumb this down at all in saying that there are more than 200 layers in the RenderPass group on this piece of artwork, where there's a ton of smart objects, and disabling the layers in order to show progress isn't feasible, but I can still...
Wait a second. This is how you know that he doesn't know how art works, right? Sir, let me dumb it down for you, because clearly you are incapable of understanding how art works. If you have a drawing program that draws in layers, you know what happens when you have layers? You can turn them off and you can toggle them back on. Having a ton of layers doesn't mean you are less capable of toggling the buttons on and off. There's just more buttons for you to push, okay? But you still can push. The braids are on their own, because this was animated, so that's why everything's on their own layer like this. Look, I can toggle off this clipping. I can toggle off that. I can toggle off the shading. You can toggle the layers on and off to show progress. Oh, you want to see progress? Oh, here's the sketch. Let me toggle everything else off so you can see the better sketch. Better sketch. Original, really janky, broken neck sketch. Oh god. Sorry. It looked really bad and I was like, I need to redo that. And then we got this one. It looks a bit morbid, but I can build it bottom up because again, it was an animation. But do 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 do. Yay, yippee, confetti. That's how layers work. Anybody who tells you they can't toggle layers on and off like that is gaslighting you. Unless they flattened everything into one layer. Then you can't. Why you would choose to do that on a piece that complicated as a commission to somebody that might request changes, not great business practice, you're being gaslit, sir.
We'll show the scamp as well as the base colors, and the texturing process that went into creating this cover. Now, I'm sure everyone in my comments already knows this, but if you are not a self-proclaimed expert in AI art detection, then you might not know that most AI art generators, such as Midjourney, Leonardo, Stable Diffusion, things like that, most of them cap out at approximately 1024 by 1024 pixels.
So here he goes on the yap about like, oh, these AI art programs, like they make pictures really small. So therefore this is a big picture. So it's not a scam. But yeah, that's what he waffles on about for a hot minute.
DPI by default for the digital, for the file itself. Now contrast that with the pixels and the DPI for the cover of my science fiction novel Fallen Angel. It's at 17,000 pixels and 600 DPI. And there is no native AI generator out there that is currently pumping that kind of resolution and one clean output.
Sir, there are ways around the size limitation that AI has, right? There are upscalers where you can input it into the upscaler and then recombine all the images back together again. At least that's what Reddit says. It is big, so it's not AI. It's not really the common argument you hear.
Now, everyone that was in my comments was saying, look at the hands, look at the hands.
Not even look at the hands. Look at the details, man. Look at the buttons. Why are the buttons all wonky? You know, because again, if you think about it, right, this is a sci-fi fighting angel. So I would assume that maybe like there's metal pieces that are bolted on, but the bolts are in very random, obscure places that don't make very much sense. And this just looks like, I don't know, some D&D dice that got stuck in the arm.
That's obviously a tell that he used AI to make that cover. Yeah, go ahead, look at the hands. They're incredibly detailed. Like I said, there were over 200 layers used in the RenderPress group in order to make this cover, as well as countless smart objects. I mean, the artist put a shit ton of time into making this cover, and frankly, it is so insulting that you, someone who doesn't even know this artist, just pops into the comments and accuses them of using AI. Like what, just because...
This is very AI to me. So there's gonna be random pockmarks in the wings now. There's a chip here. There's like crumbs in the wings.
An image is incredibly detailed.
Somebody forgot to dust their hands off after eating Cheetos.
Automatically means that it is AI generated? Quite frankly, you guys should be ashamed of yourself because you're just a bunch of bullies who rely on mob mentality to shame hardworking artists just trying to make a living. This artist spent weeks of hard work to make this cover for me, and he's got his mastery certification in Adobe Professional, as well as he's a part of the Content Authenticity Institute, and all of his artwork is glazed to prevent it from being fed to training models.
I mean, I feel like that doesn't really prove anything though, right? That's like the same equivalent as the people who steal AI, but they put in their Twitter bio, no AI. Oh shit, my bad, because you have no AI in your bio, that must mean you didn't use AI. My bad, even though there's like 6 fingers on your character. Oh, handsome boy. Who's your big handsome kitty? Aw.
And if you knew anything about copyright law, you can't give a letter of authenticity in a piece of AI generated artwork because there is no copyright that accompanies AI artwork. And for all of you who are saying that, oh, that cover is AI, therefore he used AI to write the book, this is the revision history. I started writing this book September 27th, 2020, and if you had 2 brain cells, you would know that OpenAI, the founders of ChatGPT, even though they launched in 2016, they did not go public until November 2022. The bottom line is, you're going to believe what you want to believe. This is going to be the last video that I make on this topic, and I'm not going to be fighting with you guys in the comments anymore about the authenticity of my own work.
Here's the other thing in the book community as well. I am very deep in the book community. Currently, this is A Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. In the book community, it is pretty frowned upon for authors to promote their book using Gen AI. And the reason being is the writing community and the customers, the readers, feel like they can't really trust authors as much if you've used Gen AI. Because if you use Gen AI in your promotion material, who's to say you didn't use Gen AI in the content of your book, right? There's no way we can ever tell. So that's why like Devin is going so hard on the ChatGPT writing stuff, because that is a feeling that people have with authors who promote with Gen AI. And I mean, with Devin, almost all the promotion for his books are with Gen AI, right? Gen AI promotion right here. This is all Gen AI. Here, another book being promoted with a cover that also looks like Gen AI, mind you. So this is a novella. It's a free ebook, or or maybe it's not a novella. It's a duology. Sorry, so it's one of two books, but it's a free ebook. But this to me is giving AI, like desperately so. It just because the chains are all off, right? Like all the chain links are broken. This chain link is bigger than this chain link, and this chain link is fatter than this chain link, and this one is really rectangular, and this one's really crooked. Yeah. And she's holding a blade that is connected to the chain that is also connected to her hair. Again, it's one of those where it's like, hey, you have used AI in the past in your covers too. So maybe you're arguing you didn't use it in this cover, but you've used it in the past. To be fair to him, right? He has a vampire series, and it looks like the vampire series cover, or it was like a werewolf and vampire series. It looks like that cover was actually hand painted. That's what's a bit confusing too, because he has commissioned actual artists to make the covers, and then he's also AI generated covers as well. And I think for commenters, which I feel like this author, Devin, keeps missing the point over and over again. To commenters, basically, they feel like they can't really trust Devin as an author in his words of being pro artist, right? Devin's like, I supported artists by like commissioning somebody like and spending $2,000 for them to make my comic. So blah, 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 right? So I am pro artist. So you guys are all haters for saying I'm not pro artist. When I feel like that's not really how it is. I feel like you can't really say you are pro artist and for the artist and have also generated covers, generated a lot of images for your book promotion and this, that, and the third. And again, in the book community, it is not popular. Like a lot of indie authors use Gen AI in their promotion, and a lot of people are not fans of it for the reason of this, right? Like, hey, you're an author, you're a creative, you should understand how AI is affecting the creative industry, and you should be on the side of like, no AI. But because you're using it so much, they feel like they can't trust you as a creative. And it feels like in his takes, he's kind of missing that point that people are feeling.
I'm going to prove to you with concrete evidence that the anti-AI art community on TikTok is one of the most toxic communities on this app. So if you're new to my videos, essentially this community has recently tried to cancel me by saying that my recent novels cover art is AI, even though I have shown in videos that I paid to commission an artist, that artist sent me all of the images from the scamp to the base colors to the textures and details that they implemented in their layering of the covers creation, and still obviously this community does not believe me at all.
He goes on the yap about Brandon Sanderson, which is a really popular author, being like, oh yeah, like, you know, his covers are really detailed, so, and my covers are really detailed, so if you say I use AI, it must mean that he used AI, and a bunch of other stuff too in the video, but that's beyond the point. I just wanted to like show another video of him talking about this again, which I think is funny because he said he wasn't going to talk about it again. He is super, super hardcore defending his artist, which, you know, to be fair, I love it when people support and defend their artists. Also, when people provide you substantial proof that you got scammed, you do look kind of dumb if you double down this much. So, who is the artist, right? This is the million-dollar question. The artist is this person by the name of Chris or Chris Era, who is a chief creative officer located in South Africa. Now, don't send hate to this person. Don't send hate to any parties involved, right? There is a debate as to whether the cover was AI. So let's take a look. Chris is offering to make premium fantasy art book covers for you, listing Audi supermarkets, listing Reebok as clients. So here we have examples of the artworks, allegedly, that he's made. This one is looking a bit AI. Again, you can't fully determine whether something's AI or not just based on like tiny little slivers of artwork, really. Here are some example covers. Looking a wee bit suspicious. This one can be printed up to 1.8 meters in size. Another character. This is also looking suspiciously AI. Now again, a lot of people are like, oh, it's because like you feel like highly detailed images are AI. No, it's because things don't add up. When things are drawn in high quality with a high skill set, right? Like very beautiful images, we would also just make the assumption that the artist will have the anatomical knowledge and understanding to not make errors that the AI will generate, right? If you're capable of rendering at this level, basic simple mistakes you're not going to be making. Maybe a bit nitpicky, but this is off center. Like the spokes of the logo on the chest aren't even. We look a bit closer at the face. Let me go here at the eye. There's all these like cut marks coming out of the inner corner of the eye. Like there's all these cut marks in here. Now that could be a lore reason. Maybe something happened in the book that by the tear duct, our main character now has all these like markings, but we also have like eyelashes that are becoming creases in the face that crease downwards as if it is an eyelash. One random white strand sticking up here. Details that are a bit odd. Also, the eyes are two different colors. Maybe there's a reason for that. And here we have more covers that are also looking suspiciously AI. Now look at the sci-fi covers. More interesting detailing that's kind of happening here. Things that look very AI-esque. A lot of these are giving AI. But I think overall, the nail in the coffin for this is if you go to the artist's website. This is their website. Again, those and hate to them, right? Their website is This Is Really Chris. Now, if we go to the menu, we go to their about. Let me go there. He cites that he's a creative nomad working from around the world, cites all these like big labels he's worked with, right? Inspired by travel, music, publication, fashion. In collaboration with, oh, these are really faint, but what is this? ChatGPT, Meta, Midjourney. I do not recognize this logo. I do not recognize this logo. Well, let me just click it and I don't recognize this logo. Let's see. What is this? Topaz Labs. Topaz Labs. Maximize your image and video quality. Oh, is this an upscaler to where the small Midjourney image could then get upscaled by this upscaler so it becomes like, I don't know, 17,000 pixels by 10,000 pixels, which according to the author is proof that it's not AI, right? Oh, it can't be AI because it's a big image. Well, here we have an upscaler where you can take AI and put it into this upscaler and then make it big. And then if we look down here at skills, okay? Skills, digital art. Skills in AI. Advanced prompt engineering, AI interactions and research, system integrations and workflow. That's the nail in the coffin. The artist that the author is heavily defending, and I respect him for defending the artist so vehemently, right? Right, we need people supporting artists. The artists themselves on their profile states they use AI. They use Midjourney, they use Topaz to upscale. They list AI prompt engineering under their skill set. The artists themselves said it, right? So I'm pretty sure we can confirm with this that the book cover that the author is so vehemently defending as not AI is actually AI. Now, beyond this honestly probably is like lesson 101 on how to not do this on social media, because in this situation, the author clearly is a victim. The author purchased artwork from the artist's Fiverr page thinking it is legitimate artwork. They paid a pretty penny thinking they're gonna get legitimate work. They received the work back, they were very happy, and then suddenly they are confused as to why everyone thinks it's AI, right? The author themselves sounds like he didn't go into this with the intention of getting an AI piece. It sounds like he thought he was going to get a legitimate piece. I can't say for the rest of the stuff on his page because it's a lot of Gen AI, but he got scammed, right? He thought the certificate of authentication meant that it was a legitimate piece, and it wasn't. But because of all of the condescending videos he put out being like, yeah, that's the sad part, right? He got scammed. He is the victim in the situation. But he put out all of these condescending videos being like, well, you guys wouldn't understand because da-da-da-da-da. Since all of you guys think you're an expert in AI art, da-da-da-da-da, right? Because of all those videos, nobody's on his side. And that's the sad part, right? He got scammed and now nobody believes him. I'm just laughing because the situation is just so preposterous to me as to how it kind of became the way it did. I feel bad for the author at the end of the day. In the whole thing, the whole scenario, look, I don't support his use of Gen AI on his page, whatever, but it seems like in the bubble of his book cover, it seemed like he had a good intention of trying to find an artist, a legitimate artist for the book cover for that book. Can't say about his ebook, but for that book, sounds like he really wanted to find a legitimate artist and can't believe that he got scammed, so he's just trying to gaslight everyone else. I just feel bad for him. I don't think he knew that the artist used AI. It really sounds like he didn't know. But people have told him, and he just doesn't want to believe it. So I don't know what to say, bro. On his website, it says he uses AI. I don't know what else to tell you. He's like, people want to believe what they want to believe, and same to him. He wants to believe the art is legitimate. He will believe it's legitimate, even if this guy's website says that he uses AI. That's the confusing part to me, Xavier, is that if he came clean and said that he was scammed, everybody would be on his side. Everybody would be like, dude, I feel so bad for you. Like, you thought you were going to get something legitimate and you got scammed out of X amount of money, couple hundred maybe. Don't think it's the $2,000 because it sounds like that was for the comic book, but people would all be on his side. Nobody's on his side because he doubled down so much with such a condescending tone, which, yeah, right? At any point, if you were to say that, the narrative would completely switch on his side. If at any point, no matter how far he's doubled down, if he's like, guys, I am so sorry, I got scammed and I didn't realize it until now, and I doubled down because I wanted to support an artist that I thought was legit so bad, and now I realize I was wrong. My bad. If he said that, everybody would immediately be on his side. What are your thoughts on the entire Devin Thorpe versus Chris AI situation? I do think it's a situation, again, where at the end of the day, Devin was scammed, unfortunately, but the way that he was like doubling down so much on TikTok made a lot of people really not take his side anymore. But anyways, if you like this video, I appreciate it. If you like and subscribe, don't forget to check me out on Etsy. I have digital art like Twitch emotes there, and I also have a coffee with free resources for streamers and creators. And I also stream on Twitch 3 days a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, Saturdays at 6 p.m. PST, which is where this recording is from. So I hope to catch you guys there or in another video.